Hey everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to be starting my very first weekly reading vlog. So it is November 1st, and that means it is the first day of Believeathon, and it is actually pretty late at night, and I had planned to film some stuff earlier and then just didn't get around to it. I don't even know if you will end up seeing this, as I've never done a vlog before, so I guess if you're seeing this, then I decided to go through with it and didn't hate the footage that I got. So I'm really excited to be taking part in Believeathon. However, I overstuffed my TBR in October. So I have one book that I'm rolling over for my TBR in October, and that is Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. I'm on page 113. So far, I've been really enjoying this. I hope to finish it in the next day or two so that I can move on to other things and wrap up my October TBR. I am also behind the ball a bit because I have a few books that are due back to the library either today or tomorrow, which means they're going to be overdue because there's no way I can possibly read them between now and then. And so I'm prioritizing those first because I really do want to read them. And I started one of them today during Gavin's sprints, and that is They Went Left by Monica Hesse, and this is following a girl who, after being released from, which concentration camp was it? Gross Rosen concentration camp, is looking for her younger brother as she is uncertain whether he survived the concentration camps like she did. I'm 43 pages into this, and so far I'm enjoying it. It has already been a difficult read because it is obviously touching on things to do with the Holocaust, and reading that is never easy, but I'm intrigued and I'm curious to see what is going to happen next. I also managed to listen to part of an audiobook today. If you've been around my channel for a while, you know I'm working my way through the Warriors series by Aaron Hunter, and I managed to get 4 hours and 11 minutes into Veil of Shadows, which is the third book in the 7th, I think, arc of 6 in the Warrior series. So I have about 3 hours to go, and I listen to these on 2.6 speed, so I will definitely be finishing that one tomorrow. I'm hoping that the books that aren't on my Believeathon or Phase 10 TBR won't take me too awful long to get through so that I can really dive in to my TBR, because I'm so excited to read all the lovely, lovely middle grade and participate in the final Believeathon. I will try to check back in with you before I go to bed because I'm going to read a bit before I go to sleep. So we'll see how much I can get through tonight before I can't keep my eyes open anymore. So it's been like an hour and a half or so since I last checked in, and since then I have managed to get to page 154 in Defy the Night. I am still really enjoying this. There was a bit of a twist that I wasn't expecting, and that has certainly made this book a little bit more interesting. As for They Went Left, I have gotten to page 69. There was some more horrific things revealed, and just 70 pages in the book and so much awful stuff. It's still interesting, and I think her name is Zofia? It's Zofia, so I'm going to say Zofia has returned to her hometown at this point. Her brother isn't there, and she was hoping to find him there because they had agreed to meet where they grew up. And she has learned of a camp where he might have been taken, so she is hoping that she can find him there. And so far, it's a pretty interesting start, and I'm very curious to see who she meets on her quest to find her brother, and if in the end she does find him. However, both of these have been pretty heavy, and I'm kind of feeling like I'm in the mood to read a little bit of middle grade before bed as kind of like a palate cleanser, because, like I said, you know, this one is Holocaust, so there's a lot of horrific things I'm reading about here, and in this one, there has been mentions of rape, nothing to descriptive on the page, but mentions of it, and definitely some violence, and I'm looking for something a little bit lighter before I go to bed. So, with that being said, I'm going to pull my computer over here. I have a handy dandy wheel set up because this is how I'm going to choose what prompt I read for Believe-a-thon. If you haven't seen my Believe-a-thon TBR, I'll link it in the description below, but basically I picked a book for every single prompt, and my plan was to spin a wheel to determine which order I read the prompts in. So I've got my wheel all set up here. And let's see. We're going to give it a spin and see which prompt I will be reading. Okay. We have prompt number 12, which, let's see which book that corresponds to. So prompt number 12 says, before you a dragon that snaps at the pyre, there's only one way to avoid the hot fire. Read a book with a creature in the title. Let me go grab my book. So the book I have for that prompt is The Dragon with the Chocolate Heart. I don't know much about this. It says, all Aventurine wants to do is explore the world outside her family's mountain cave, but as a young dragon, her tough scales haven't developed yet, and the outside is too perilous, or so her family says. Aventurine is determined to fly on her own and prove them wrong by capturing the most dangerous prey of all, a human. But when that human tricks her into drinking enchanted hot chocolate, Aventurine is transformed into a puny human girl. No sharp teeth, no fire breath, no claws. Still, she's the fiercest creature in these mountains, and now she's found her true passion, chocolate. All she has to do is get to the human city to find herself an apprenticeship, whatever that is, in a chocolate house, which sounds delicious. And she'll be conquering new territory in no time. Won't she? This is a chocolate-filled, girl-powered fantasy with a heroine who learns what it means to be a strong, fearsome human, and a dragon too. Okay, so this sounds interesting. I am definitely thinking it's going to be a lot more lighthearted and less heavy than the books I was reading, so it sounds like it'll be a good read for right before bed. I'm actually using Prissa's TGIF sprints from this past Friday to get some reading done, so I'll check back in before bed and let you know what I'm thinking of this book so far and how much of it I've actually read. So it's day 2 of Believe-a-thon. Last night I managed to get to page 40 of The Dragon with the Chocolate Heart. So far we've just set up the story, which is essentially that this young dragon that we're following thinks that she knows more than her parents do and the elder dragons that she lives with. And so she sets out to catch prey of her own, even though they tell her it's way too dangerous for her. And she ends up coming across a man who tricks her into drinking magical hot chocolate, which turns her into a girl. And now she's having to figure out how to live life as a girl. So far, so good with this one. I'm enjoying seeing her adjust to being a human. And I am very curious to see what sort of mishaps she has to deal with once she gets around more humans. I am planning to read this morning Crownbreaker by Sebastian de Castell. So during whatever-a-thon, I read Spellslinger, and a group of us had a Discord chat, and we've been reading one book a month, and we're finally to the last book in the series. We read like a certain number of chapters each day, and I didn't read yesterday, so I plan to read yesterday's and today's chapters before I go back to the other books that I've been reading. I'm really excited to see how this series wraps up. I actually have Prissa's sprints going to help me get through my reading today, and hopefully I can get some done. Odds are when she gets done sprinting, I might go back and watch the start of her sprints over again because I tend to get here late, so I usually am watching these on demand. Anyways, so we'll see how much reading I can get done today, and hopefully I can catch up at least on the chapters that I need to catch up on in Crownbreaker. So I thought I'd check in. I haven't got basically any reading done today whatsoever. I ended up cleaning a good chunk of my bedroom and then making some food, and now I'm out and about. I just dropped off the last of my Halloween goodie bags for the little ones in my life, and now I'm sitting outside of the store while my mom does some shopping since we're already out. But I do have Crownbreaker with me, so I'm going to see how much I can read while she's in the store. But I thought I'd check in and give you an update. So it's late at night on November 3rd. I am catching up on Jade's productivity Patreon sprints from today, and I have a little buddy with me keeping me company in my bed. And I thought I'd check in and let you guys know, because I think the last check-in I was at the store in the parking lot hoping to get some reading done, and I didn't get as much done as I wanted to because the light faded, and I have unfortunately not learned how to read without a light source. I was reading Crownbreaker by Sebastian de Castell. I've read a little bit of what I was supposed to read for today, and that's basically all the reading I've done. My plan is to get through the chapters that I need to get through in this today, and then if I am still feeling up to reading, then I will move on to one of the other books I'm in the middle of. This morning I edited for a while, and I'm hoping that I will be able to get my TBR video up tomorrow, which by the time you see this, you'll know whether I accomplished that or not. I did it a little differently this month, because normally what I do is I film my draws, and then I spend a couple days figuring out what books I want to read for those prompts, and then I film the part where I talk about the books. And this time I just literally got up and got the books as I was filming, which actually made it an easier edit, so I may continue to do that. Even though I think if I had given it some thought, I might have been able to make my TBR a little bit easier. But I think that saving time on editing will give me more time to read, so I'll probably continue to do it like that, at least for the next little bit, so I can see if I prefer doing it that way over the way I originally started doing it. Anyways, it is really late, so I want to get some reading done, so I'm going to leave this here, and I will try and check back in before I go to sleep, assuming I'm not too sleepy to want to pick up my camera and film. So it is now Thursday morning. I did not check in before bed because I was pretty much falling asleep while reading, but I did manage to get all the chapters I needed to read in Crownbreaker done, which means I am now on page 196. I will be starting my day off with this to get my pages out of the way. When I got done with those chapters, I switched to They Went Left, and I'm a decent chunk through that. I'm hoping maybe I can finish this one today. It is still really, really interesting, though, again, still not an easy read. As you can see, I've got Pris and a Gavin, and I will be watching any sprints they do. I think they should have one more, because that didn't say it was the last sprint, but once they end, I may go back to the beginning anyways, because that's usually how I use sprints, because they tend to sprint when I can't read. So I use the sprints later, but hopefully I will have a really good reading day and be able to get through a decent chunk of my TBR pile. I thought I would check in since I'm settled in bed for the night and I'm getting ready to do a little bit of reading before I crash. I've got Pris's spontaneous sprints from today playing and keeping me company. I finished Jade's productivity Patreon sprints earlier and absolutely loved them. They were fantastic. During those, I managed to read the entire section I needed to read for Crownbreaker. I'm still really enjoying this one. I am very intrigued as to where this is going and how Kellen's story is going to wrap up, and I'm excited to pick this up again tomorrow and read the next section. I then switched, once I got done with that, to They Went Left and proceeded to finish it. I'm not quite sure what I want to rate this yet, but I did enjoy it. There was a moment that made me cry, which, given that it's a book about the Holocaust, is not surprising in the slightest. But I'm not sure how I felt about the ending, so I'm not sure what I'm going to rate it yet. As for what I'm going to read tonight, as much as I want to dive back into Defy the Night, I think I'm going to be picking up Silence in the Library instead, as this was due back to the library either the 1st or the 2nd. So it's overdue. I can't renew it, which means I really need to read it or bring it back. So I think I'm going to dive into this one and hopefully fly through this one so that I can then get back to Defy the Night and my Believeathon TBR, not to mention my Phase 10 TBR, which I have barely touched this month due to the fact that I'm reading a bunch of stuff that was not on my TBR. I will try to check in and let you know how far I get in this and whether I'm enjoying it or not before bed, but if I'm tired, I'm just going to crash and I will check in the morning. So it is now Saturday. I didn't check in with you guys at all yesterday. I just wasn't feeling up to filming. I worked on editing for a bit between what I read before bed on Thursday night and what I read yesterday on Friday. I am now this far into Silence in the Library. I might be able to finish this today. That is the goal, since again this is overdue from the library. This morning I managed to finish Veil of Shadows by Aaron Hunter. Another really great book in the Warrior series, and another one in this arc that left on a giant cliffhanger that makes me immediately want to pick up the next book in the series, but I can't because I have too many books already on my TBR. I then switched to A Knight's Tale by Sophie Kelly, and I think I'm already like 2 hours into the audiobook, and the audiobook is only 7 hours, so I'm already making decent progress in that. I have done some work on The Dragon with a Chocolate Heart, and I'm on page 184, and this book is 244 pages long, so I should be finishing this in the very near future. And I actually have a bit of a snack. I have made some popcorn because while I was listening to A Knight's Tale, they were eating popcorn and I got an intense craving for it. And since I had some in the house, I decided to make some. So I will be eating some popcorn while hopefully finishing up The Girl with the Dragon Heart. And I will endeavor to check in with you guys later. So I thought I'd check in to tell you guys I have finished my first book for Believeathon. I think I'm going to land somewhere in the 3-star range on this one because at times it dragged, but there were parts I really liked. I have to give it some thought to see exactly where I'm going to land. I do own the sequels, so I will probably check that out at some point, but it's not a super rush because while I like this book, it wasn't necessarily the best middle grade I've ever read. This means I can spin the wheel and see what prompt I'm going to be reading next for Believeathon. So I've got my wheel and number 12 is no longer in there because that was the prompt I read. So let's give it a spin and see what prompt I'm reading next. So the prompt for number 13 is: more than a billion have different views. It's time to walk in other people's shoes. Read an Own Voices book. And the book I planned to read for this is Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. And this is a less than 4-hour audiobook, so I will probably be able to get through it pretty quickly. So hopefully I will be able to get this one in and move on to another book today. I guess we'll see. So it is now Sunday morning, and last night the clocks went back in the States, so I'm a little off because I keep thinking it's later in the day than it is. My cats are also confused because they are ready for food and they don't get food yet based on the time, but yesterday they would have gotten food at this time because it would have been the correct time. So that has been fun to deal with because I have one that is very vocal and will cry at me until I feed him, so he is anxiously anticipating his midday meal. Reading-wise, though, last night I finished Silence in the Library, and I think it's gonna get 4 stars. I don't think I've even said what this book is about. This is the second book in a series, and in this series we're following a widow named Lily. It says she's a Regency widow, so that should give you the time frame. Like, it's olden days, and she in the first book gets drawn into a murder mystery, and in this one it happens again. And I really enjoyed the first one. I didn't like this one as much, but it's because we meet Lily's father, and Lily's father is an ass. There's no two ways about it, and his character really, really annoyed me. But I enjoyed the mystery aspect of it and, like, the setting and stuff, so I still really enjoyed the series, and I definitely plan to keep reading it. This is one of the ones that was a 14-day book and is overdue from the library, so I'm really glad to have gotten this done so I can go back today so that I'm not racking up a ton of late charges. This morning, I listened to a little bit of Other Words from Home, and so far, I'm enjoying that. And my other plan for today is to read some of Groundbreaker. I have been neglecting this because I was trying to get my library book out of the way, but hopefully I can read a good chunk of this today as well, because I think with the schedule on the Discord, we're supposed to finish it tomorrow, and I don't know how realistic that is. For me, it's going to depend on how much I can read, because I still have quite a ways to go. But I know these books will suck me in, so if it sucks me in, I'm not going to want to put it down, so hopefully it will do that. I am also working on editing today because I'm trying really, really hard to catch up. I am so far behind on recent reads, it's not even funny. I have books all over my house, just in piles of books I read in specific weeks, and I would really like to get caught up on all of that so that I can focus on just the videos that are supposed to be going out during the week, not the videos that were supposed to come out weeks before. So I'm working on editing the last one of those that I have filmed, and then I'm hoping maybe tomorrow I can film some more so that I have some more to edit. My plan is that I have a recent reads ready to go for Monday. The one I'm editing will go up on Tuesday. I'm hoping to do my book haul on Wednesday. This should go out on Thursday. Then I have my 5 on Friday, obviously. And then hopefully I will have time to edit the recent reads I can hopefully film tomorrow for the weekend, so that maybe by like the end of next week, I'll be all caught up. We'll see how it goes. I also still need to find time to read in there, otherwise I won't have any content to produce. But the plan for today is to finish editing the recent reads I'm working on, get both of them uploaded so that they're set and ready to go, and read as much of Groundbreaker as I can. So it's Monday night, and I completely forgot to wrap this vlog up yesterday before I went to bed. I just crashed, and then this morning I was so busy that I didn't have time to sit down and film this wrap up, but the last things I did yesterday was read the entirety of Stargazing by Jen Wang, and this is another library book that is almost overdue, so I squeezed that in. Luckily, it is a middle grade graphic novel. So very quick read. I think it took me like an hour. And we're following 2 girls, Christine and Moon, and seeing their friendship. And Moon is very different to Christine and kind of brings her out of her shell a bit and makes her push her boundaries a bit. And then something awful happens and she has to try to be as good of a friend to Moon as Moon has been to her. I think this is a 4-star. I could up it a little. I don't think it'll go down. I think if anything, it'd go up. But I really enjoyed this. I was supposed to read a whole bunch of Groundbreaker, and then I didn't read barely any of it. I think I read like 30 pages. So I still have a giant chunk to go because I haven't touched it at all today because I was busy this morning. So I still have this to read. I listened to most of the rest of A Knight's Tale. So I'm almost done with that. I think I have like an hour and a half left in the audiobook, and I listened to that particular audiobook at 3 times speed, so half an hour and I'll have that thing done. And then I listened to a little bit of Other Words for Home, and I'm still really enjoying that, and hopefully I will be able to finish that in the near future. So overall, it wasn't a bad reading week. I finished, I think, like 4 books and maybe 5, and I'm a decent way through Crownbreaker, Other Words for Home, and A Knight's Tale, so I should be able to easily finish those in the coming week, and hopefully I will get back to picking up Defy the Night too and wrap that one up. So I guess this is the end of this week's vlog. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me an elephant emoji, like this video, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!